Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to go over a couple of things today. We're going to do a little drawing, check out a pen, um, but I got something I got a package delivered, something I'd ordered that I thought was kind of interesting online. Um, there's some advertisements for it online. I figured, this looks pretty cool. I do write, so um, this is kind of a neat thing. So it's a story engine, so basically different cards that you pick, um, and they tell different story, different things, different ideas for stories. Um, so this is kind of cool. So I want to check this out a little bit later. We'll open this and I'll do a um, unboxing. So it's still wrapped in plastic. I have not unboxed this yet or looked at it, but I wanted to give it kind of heads up, and this might be something we're going to be looking at soon. So let's look at what we're here for today, though. Today, we're going to look at a couple of different pens. Um, Let me actually adjust this a little bit. There we go. Okay. So we're going to look at a couple of different pens. These are a collection of my Grail pens, pens that I really like the best. I mean, I've been doing this for quite a while, but the absolute pinnacle pen for me so far, and I mean, I don't know if there is a total pinnacle pen, but this one for me certainly is. It's by Aurora, and it's the Aurora 88, the modern version. Um, for me, it's an unbeatable pen. Um, Form, function, and finish. So the form of it is perfect. When you post it, it's perfectly balanced. Unposted, it's usable for sure. And function, it's incredible. I love the nib. I love the design of the nib. I love how the nib writes, the flow of it. I love it's a piston filler. Um, they're just phenomenal, and they have a huge variation of different Aurora 88s, included limited editions, special editions that have come out over the years, um, and finish, tons of different finishes. I love the finishes of the ones I got. Obviously, those are why I selected them. So this is a collection of my Aurora pens that I have. I've got a vintage Aurora. We'll look at that a little bit later. I've got the Aurora Optima in red. And then here are my Aurora 88s. So we got the Nera Una. We've got the Nera Unica. And then I've got the Red Mamba, and this is Talentum. So these would be the three modern versions. Today, I want to look at one of my favorites as well, which is the Red Mamba. And I know they have a blue Mamba, and actually I think that's it. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Anyway, the red one is the one that caught my eye. I don't know if you can tell on here, but it has nice, like a scale, which is supposed to represent obviously the skin of the Red Mamba snake. It does have matte black trim finish. It says Aurora, made in Italy. And I love, to me, nothing beats that Aurora clip. I mean, I adore this pen. It's absolutely amazing. It does have a really nice ink window. This one does have a coated 18 karat nib. Just trying to see if I can get that into view. There we go. It writes phenomenal. This is a medium nib. As you can see, there's the M for medium. The piston is incredible. It does hold a really good amount of ink. You can see that piston coming through. So we're going to load this one up, and this one is a limited edition out of 888. This is 677 out of 888. But it posts incredibly well, nice and secure, very balanced. Love to write with this. You can write with it unposted, and it's certainly plenty long. So this is one of my obviously the Aurora 88 is my Grail pen, and I do have a collection of a wide variety of pens. So before we get to writing, let's go ahead and ink this up. Today we're going to use Kaweco Pearl Black. Love this black. It's a great black ink. So let's open this up. There we will. To get a really good fill and create a vacuum, it's good to pop the pen in while the piston is still up, and then drop the piston down while it's dipped in the ink, and then pull it up. But for today, we're just going to do this because I don't need a ton of ink in this. I'll still get a good amount though. Man, that really does hold a good amount of ink. Let's go ahead and dip that again real quick. I'm going to get a little bit more ink than that. Oh, there we go. Okay. That time we got a good amount, so let's wipe this down. Okay. As you can tell, we got a nice amount of volume of ink in there. We'll go ahead and close this up. The last thing you ever want is to spill ink everywhere and create a huge mess. So let's break open a notebook. This is Leuchtturm. This is the 120 gram paper. And we'll start with a fresh page. How about that? Yeah, I'm telling you, every time I've used quite a few different pens, but man, Aurora, I don't know, they really for me hit the ball out of park with this one. Also, when it has the cap on and you let it sit for quite a while, I kid you not, all of the Auroras start immediately, whether I've had it capped for months or if I've had it capped for days or weeks, they start right away. Now, that's not a guarantee that, quality control might slip through on one or two, but for the majority of pens that I think they do produce, and definitely statistically the ones that I have, that's pretty good performance. Platinum makes a cap seal that, I don't know if it's on all their pens, but like the Platinum Preppy, I think does have it, the slip-in seal, and that does protect the nib from drying out, and they claim it will be for, what, I don't know how many months. I don't think it's years, but I think it's many months. Well, the Aurora, I think, without that slip and seal technology, has its own, at least mine do, and really does a good job. So, quite happy with it. We are in December now, again, approaching the end of another year. Hope everyone's, if you celebrated Thanksgiving, that you had a good holiday. I did a bit of traveling over the Thanksgiving holiday and saw family, and it's really good to catch up. My side of the family is out of state, so it's not like we see them too frequently, unfortunately, but it was good to see them this time around. It's nice to, pretty calming to draw. For me, it never gets old. I really do enjoy it. Very meditative. And sometimes I have an idea, as I've said before, what I'm going to do, and other times just kind of let's see where the pen and the mind takes you. How many of you own an Aurora, whether it's an 88 or vintage 88? That vintage 88 I want to do a video on as well. I really love that. Very reminiscent with the nib, because it's a partially hooded nib. It's a gold nib, but really, really great. But it's also this is much different in terms of form than the vintage Aurora, but still really fun to write with. Grail pens, if you want to call them that, or the perfect pen, or if you had to take, I guess, a pen on a deserted island, right? Which ones would you take? Well, this one would be top of my list. Everybody's different. I understand that, but for me, it's perfect. I think if you had the means to get one, I would definitely try them out first. Either go to a dealer or somebody you know. For most pens, that would be my advice. For this one, if you like fountain pens like I do, and the way they write and the form looks pretty good, and you do enjoy posting your pens, this one would be in my opinion, worth the risk. I'm sure there are some Aurora haters out there. I don't know why they would hate the pen, but like I said, everybody's different. If you do own an Aurora, what are your thoughts? What type do you own, and what are your thoughts on the pen? Is it your desert island pen, or do you have a different pen that you consider the pinnacle for you? If so, what is that pen? I know some folks who use fountain pens, they have a wide variety of their pinnacle pens. Some enjoy Visconti. Homo sapiens is one. I do have the Dark Ages Homo sapien, but you know which one looks awesome? It's that lava one, or the fire one. Man, that looks amazing. I don't think I would get that. I'm happy with the Dark Ages, but in terms of looks and it's incredible. It's an incredible pen. If you ever had a chance to look at the Visconti, the Fire Homo sapiens, take a look at it. Really is a beautiful pen. My issue with Visconti and the Homo sapiens is it's an extremely wet writer. At least I consider it very, very wet. Bleeds through a lot of paper. I typically go for medium nibs, Western medium. The reason I like that is because you can flip the nib and get a fine line out of it. So it's almost like getting two pens. So in other words, if you can see that, get a really fine line. So it's much finer. So it's two pens in one. But the Homo sapiens, I ordered the fine nib. Now, to its plus side is the fine nib is extremely smooth. It does lay a really nice line, a fine line. Still wet, but sort of definitely usable. on different paper types. And when you flip it over, it does a real extra fine line, very smooth still. I think I had to do a little adjusting on that, but now it's amazing. So that was one of the pen that I would do. That's a Western nib that I would go with a fine line versus that just for the sheer wetness of it. That would be my only, I guess, downside, and I guess it's maybe not a downside because I have the fine nib is perfect. So you just kind of had to be strategic about it. You know, it would really, it wouldn't be good at all if you, just for the sheer price tag on it, is that getting the wrong nib and then regretting it. That would not be good. I knew somebody who ordered a bold nib because they liked, or excuse me, broad nib because they liked that bold line. And yeah, they weren't happy. It was so wet. It would bleed through. Like, I think Leuchtturm, he had issues with that, with how he drew and wrote. So sometimes it's got to be careful. So if you enjoy drawing, and if you're watching this video, you may be someone who just appreciates watching someone. But if you do, yeah, I'd be interested to know what pen you enjoy drawing with. And it may not even be a fountain pen. It could be a fine liner, pencil, marker. You might even enjoy drawing non-traditional ways, like you enjoy drawing on digitally. That I can't wrap my head around, but I know some people just love it, and they do really, really creative and beautiful pieces. I just can't personally wrap my head around doing that. There's something just tactile about, it's pleasurable about drawing with pens. Yeah. So hats off to anybody who does draw, you know, with an iPad or any kind of a tablet or computer even. Just not my cup of tea. But if you do you just stick with one medium, one pen? Do you use many? I work with all of them, I think. I mean, fountain pens has to be sort of my favorite, but I work with all different pen types. And pencils. Pencils are fun. I love the shading, ability to shade. It's great. You know, the other thing is, so when some people draw, they like to outline, or they like to draw a structure first, either in light pencil or what have you, and then essentially use the pen to trace it. I've done that a couple of times. It's fun, and you can, especially if you have a really good idea what you want to do, and you need angles to be correct and lines to be very straight, or arcs to be very geometrically perfect. You know, those can be fun. I typically just go and just start drawing, and just manually make adjustments. I do use rulers and things like that on occasion, but that's pretty infrequent, I would say. So when you start out with something, it doesn't look like much, but then by the time you finish, it looks completely different than what you had started with. Plus, drawing like this really helps with muscle control, and it teaches you how to take your time and, you know, draw straight lines, or as straight as they can possibly be, I guess. I see a lot of videos on fountain pens, though they do, the typical reviews, um, or they'll do ink reviews, or those are great. I don't mind doing those either, and that's how I started in this. To me, though, I like to see how a pen performs using all sides, in a variety of things. And there are a lot of drawing videos out there, but definitely not as many as just regular fountain pen review videos. For example, I know when a very popular one is SPRE Brown. I've seen him throughout the years, and there's a few others, but they have their format, and other people do pick up pen reviews over. I've seen people imitate or do their version of it, and I know I've used some things when I initially started out as well, but I didn't see a whole lot of drawing. And those are fun to see too, because again, like I said, you see different uses of the pen. When you write, obviously you're writing letters, but when you're drawing, and they do wetness and flow, well, how does it perform once you're into it? How does it perform when you're shading in, like this? And is it solid, or do you have to go back over it? There are certain inks, for instance, like black inks, that you use, and they look great initially, but once it dries, they're kind of faded, and you have to hit a second layer over it. But then there are some fountain pens you can use with the same ink, and you lay it down the first time, and it's significantly darker. There's so many variables when you're using fountain pens. Not just the pen, but the nib, the flow, the feed, how the nib is adjusted. What kind of nib do you have? Do you have a medium, broad, a double broad? Do you have an oblique nib? Do you have a stub nib? All these things are going to factor into what the outcome is, whether it's writing or drawing. If you do enjoy using fountain pens, what got you into the, I guess what you'd call it, a hobby, or the usage of them? Do you use them frequently, infrequently, just for fun? Interested. Like I said, I started very young in Germany, because in German school, that's what we used. Matter of fact, here's how I got back into the hobby, because it had been years. I had come across this exact same, because that pen I had in, what grade was it? It was fourth grade, man. It was so long ago. That pen I had, of course, I didn't have it anymore, but I remember it. It was a Pelicano, and it was, it had a blue base and like a chrome, I don't know if I have it here, a chrome cap. No, I'll have to find it at some point. But I had looked for it online. I was like, this was in the 80s. I wonder if they have this anymore, if I can get it. I mean, on the secondhand market, can I find it like on eBay or something? And I did find it. And it was really reasonable price, so I picked it up. And you know what? That pen is awesome. Maybe I just have emotional attachment to it from my youth, but it writes incredibly. I enjoy it. Now, probably more nostalgia than anything else, but that's how I got back into it. And yeah, I'm really happy. So is there something that caught your eye, got you into it? Was it also nostalgia if you are into fountain pens? I'd be interested to know. It's fun to hear other people's journeys. Not just this, but their stories in life. And yeah, see this one, the Kaveco Pearl Black, this one does dry moderately dark. I don't mind it. Is it as dark as the Noodler's Borealis Black, or what's another good black that I have? Waterman Black is a little bit, oh man, it's say compared to some others, it leans more on the gray side, like just a shade gray. I mean, it's black, but it's just light. I mean, Noodler's makes some good blacks. Polar Black and Borealis Black are great. Aurora Black. I mean, I love that ink. That's great. Aurora Black and this black would be good blacks that I like to use. And I can recommend, if you're looking for darkness, or excuse me, a darker shade, Platinum Black is great. And they do have that special black that they came out with. I can't remember the name of it, but it's extremely black. I can't remember though if it's a permanent black, which I don't like using in my fountain pens, because if you do put permanent black in there, you better use it quickly, and even then you do risk staining or discoloration of the ink window potentially. So unless it's a cheaper pen and you don't mind that and you want to use something permanent black, I see the usage. I wish that they did have a version of the permanent black that washed out easily from fountain pens, but that would sort of defeat the purpose of it being permanent, wouldn't it? Because it's not supposed to be easy to come out with water. I enjoyed practicing different shapes as well, kind of mixing it up quite a bit. It gives your drawing some character. I picked up some paper quite a while back in New Orleans, and I hadn't heard of this paper. It's available elsewhere. Obviously, you can get it online, but it's the Zequins paper. It starts with a Z, Zequins, and that paper is so smooth. It's awesome. Downside for drawing, it takes forever to dry. And if you don't have paper that dries pretty quickly when you're drawing and you get some ink and you start to smear it, you have to be very careful about where your hand positioning is, or just wait till that part of the page dries that you're drawing on. It's really a pain. Love that paper. Oh, can't stand the dry time. Same thing with Tomoe River paper. Tomoe River paper, amazing. I love it. I love it. And I do enjoy drawing on it, but again, the same problem. You have to really have the patience to let it dry. Commit to drawing on a portion of the page and be very careful that you don't get it on your hand or your palm or a finger. I tend to drag my finger along the page, and if you even get a little ink on it and you start drawing again, you'll smear it elsewhere. It's a fun process. However, that is the name of the channel, isn't it? So I don't necessarily mind it. Ink comes off very easily if you scrub it for a good minute. So we're in winter now, and we've already had our first snow. It sat on the ground for a little while, not as long as we'd like, but I know we've got some more snow coming. Being in the north, when we traveled back for Thanksgiving, my family is from the East Coast, and not quite as cold as where I'm at. And that's where I pretty much grew up, but I really love the cold. And good news is we have a very long winter. I was telling somebody that if I could have it my way, that once winter hits, I wish the temperature would drop below freezing and then stay like that until springtime, and then it would come above freezing and everything would then melt. The one thing I can't stand is when everything freezes or the snow happens and then, a week later, it's above freezing and everything's melted. It's miserable, and the ice happens, but everything stayed frozen. You wouldn't really deal with ice, would you? Everything would just be packed snow, or I guess you would melt, I guess, if you threw salt down on the road, but so maybe that's not entirely true. But I think there's only a few places in the world that are like that. Both of which I would never want to move to or live. One is Russia, which is a beautiful country, but would have no interest in being a Russian citizen compared to what I have now. And the other is Canada. I love Canadians, but I have no interest in becoming a Canadian. So, in the meantime, I will enjoy visiting those beautiful places, and when I can, and if I can. Russia would be fun to visit. Maybe not now, clearly, with what's going on overseas, but who knows? Maybe in the far future, that might be something. But Canada is also beautiful. From photos, pictures, friends who've been there, clients who've been there. Back in the day, I had, not too long, maybe 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I had clients who lived in Canada, were Canadians, and they were buying up real estate here in Florida. Well, not here, I'm not in Florida now, but in Florida, where I did used to live. And they had great stories from where they came from, about where they came from, excuse me, and pictures, and they shared, and it's really cool. Again, no comment on anything else about Canada because I don't have any real opinion about it, but the geography looks amazing. And the cold in the winter. For me, that's definitely a pull. But where I'm at now, it's amazing, all the people that live here, there are so many people who just can't stand the snow. They dread it. And I keep thinking to myself, well, why are you still here? Maybe some of them they can't help it, and they're situational, but man, some of these people really hate the winter. Like, man, you really are in the wrong place. So does anybody else live in a cold state or country, and you cannot stand the cold or the winter? I'd be interested to know maybe reasons why you're still there if you do hate it. And again, I know some people that they just can't help it. It's situationally, it is what it is. I feel bad for them, but you always have those people in your life that are also complainers, and they will complain about anything. Now, if you are one of those people who is a complainer and likes to complain about everything, hey, no judgment. Everybody's different. Hopefully your life is good. So now I'm getting kind of an idea of what I'm going to do here, but I think what we're going to do is, so the video doesn't drag out too long, I'm going to finish the rest at a higher rate of speed, and we'll get that up so we'll see the finished product. So I appreciate you tuning in. If you did stay here to the end, I appreciate that. And we got another couple of videos coming up here very quickly. And like I said, one of them I want to review that that story engine that I picked up. Again, that was on, I think it was on Instagram. I think I saw it on Instagram. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. And we got, like I said, some more pens coming up to draw with. I won't make the next one an Aurora 88, so we'll do that another time with a different one. Maybe I'll pull out that Visconti. That's a fun one and fine, and we'll take a look at that and see how that writes. In case any of you own one with a different nib and have never used a fine. That'd be fun. I always like finding videos like that, you know, where they're using a pen nib size that I have versus when you get on there and you find the pen, but nobody's using that pen nib size that you're interested in. It's like, man, come on. You know, you're like almost there. I do want to know how this thing, how it writes and how thick that line is. Is it wet? Does it bleed through certain paper? So, well, I hope you've enjoyed the rambling today, and found it or the drawing enjoyable on any level. If you stayed this long, you must have enjoyed something, so appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you did. I'd appreciate that. And I'll let this finish out at a faster speed to finish it up and see where it goes. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Thanks. Bye.